For those who are not familiar with it, the Tower of Babel is a biblical story about the idea of a group of people who are all centered in their civilization around a tower. And that this tower somehow allowed them to have all the same language and to all be able to speak to one another. Then the legend reports that there was some sort of destruction of the tower, and in this aftermath of this happening, that the people themselves were scattered and they no longer could speak the same tongue or the same language, and thus we became confused. It's sort of like a fall from grace type story. You have to understand that there is a very significant difference between how the scholarship on the ancient civilizations is seen in the open, unclassified world, as opposed to how it is being seen within the secret government and the military-industrial complex. They are going back and they are looking at every single mythology that they can find, and they're asking very important questions which need to have scientific answers. One of the questions is, what in the world was the Tower of Babel? They have started to learn that no matter what the ancient mythology is, you dig deep enough, you double-click on it, and you find out, wait a minute, there's something here that suggests this is not a myth. So it's very interesting to note that in 1899, in the town of Sippar, there was a very interesting stone tablet that was found right near where Babylon was originally located. And it actually has an X marks the spot treasure map type derivation of the location of the Tower of Babel, allegedly. Now what's interesting about that is that the Tower of Babel X marks the spot location is up in Turkey.
This possibly new understanding of where the Tower of Babel was located coincides nicely with Anton Parks's research of the Garden of Eden and the understanding of the language according to Sumerian texts.
We were able to locate the divine mountain of the Anuna gods along with their Garden of Eden, thanks to the elements found with Google Earth and Gary Zeitling from NASA. It took us straight to eastern Turkey, close to Road 5651. What can be noted in the Sumerian tablets, when they clearly speak of creating workers to serve the Anunas, the main geneticist is always Enki. Enki is very proud of what he is doing. However, he always has to do it in secret. And here something important occurs in the research that I've carried out. In order to be able to secretly teach values, besides from changing their genetic code, in which he probably injected things that we cannot comprehend nowadays, the gods were using a specific language in Eden, the Emion language, the language that comes from the skies, the language which comes from On. In my years of research, I understood that the Emeshah, the matrix language, was mostly used by Sumerian priestesses. The so-called Emeshah contained more particles than the languages used by the male gods. So Enki used the Emeshah, the matrix language, to encode the ancient languages we find on Earth. I think that Enki had the desire to work for the benefit of the human race, to secretly bring them knowledge. And to be able to do that, they had to use a code. So they created a linguistic code for each tribe. And I think that regularly, maybe every generation, they had to change the code to prevent the Anunas from finding out about the hidden knowledge.
It is interesting to note that according to Anton's research, the language that has been coded into the universe for the humans to speak is called the matrix language. In Sumerian, this means the language that the female life creators, like Tiamat, spoke. How has this coded language helped us survive against the wrath of the demiurge?
This is a crucial part of my work. I discovered that all common languages were coded from Sumerian. We can look for idioms from anywhere we want. African tribes, Native American tribes, all the way to China. When you get to the innermost part of primitive languages, you can always understand the words in Sumerian. For example, if you take the word tool in the language of an African tribe and you translate it into Sumerian, it will become the thing we use to chop wood. The idea is a code used in order to be able to communicate secretly with humans. In concrete terms, this idea of coding language and creating new ones with Sumerian syllables, this desire to be able to communicate secretly with the human race, is going to design the many different languages on Earth. Old Chinese, the Hopi, many of the ancient idioms we find in Africa or in Australia. We can find common roots with ancient German and ancient English. Enki knew for a fact that human beings would not be submissive to the gods on the whole planet. So he gifted them with the ability to make tools, and in my theory, he also wished to code human language so the gods could not understand.
Anton Park suggests that once the humans had the knowledge to survive on Earth, they sought to build their own future and escape the gods. Could there be an actual builder of this new human settlement?